My first memory of hospitalization was waking up to my roommate drawing all over the walls with crayons. I remember laying there, watching her fill the white with color, pressing her body into every stroke until the crayon would break. I remember a man clothed in white rushing into our room, ushering the girl away from the wall. She became angry, throwing her crayons across the room, yelling and crying. The room filled with white-clothed people, half holding the girl down as they injected her, while the other half began sponging away the crayon-filled wall. She lay still, motionless, staring at the wall of color as it turned a murky brown and then white. I feel that becoming well wasn't a process of self-disclosure of one layer in particular, or attributing a lifetime of adversities to one perceived disability, but rather how my abilities within my disabilities successively affected one another, and how I could tap into my mental differences and adversities as opportunities for growth and understanding. Focusing on my creative capacities and what art could do for me in telling my story and discovering what my identity was from all these different layers of thought and experiences was really what gave me a voice. So when I create art, I feel something that is unique to me and that is true to myself. To keep as sort of an artifact of my story, an artifact of what I went through, to document that, hey, you can get through that. Each striation in the wax serves as a visual path, allowing me to access, acknowledge, and essentially regain control. You can imagine in a moment receiving this diagnosis, it now became the social and medical reference point through which I would be treated and understood. Now, this made a huge ripple in my identity as I attempted to assimilate this added layer, rationalizing its meaning. Well, my mind rebelled. I didn't quite understand what it meant to overcome something while also trying to embrace it. My crisis was understood with the focus on one layer in particular, which was my diagnosis of having a mental illness. While the validity of this diagnosis seemed to rely primarily on blood level after blood level and seemingly arbitrary classification metrics, to me at least, there wasn't as much of a consideration as to the language, how I might interpret or react to a diagnosis was more of my concern. So an attempt by professionals to customize their perceived prognosis into a language that was relatable to me. Instead, I was left with the aftertaste of a label, holding the weight of decades of ingrained social stereotypes. Upon receiving the diagnosis of being mentally ill, Stigma seemed to emerge from all areas and times of my life, whether it was sexually or physically or emotionally. These feelings of shame and guilt and trauma from these different stigmas were prompted from this experience of being in the hospital. And they all seemed to percolate to the surface of my consciousness. It's interesting when people, ask, have you ever felt stigmatized? And I can remember when I felt the most stigmatized was when I felt the most stigma of myself and who I thought I was in light of how I thought other people thought of me. And so it's very much a relationship of perceptions, I think. And naturally, when we are ashamed of ourselves or our experiences, I think we project that unto society, and that is absorbed and then reprojected back onto us, thus feeling what we think is public stigma, but really might just be a projection of the way in which we feel about ourselves.